1974. It was the year President Nixon resigned over the Watergate cover-up.
And of course, it was the year that Channel 6 signed on the air, becoming Boise's first ABC affiliate. Here's a look back.
We were living in the Stone Age, but we didn't know it.
Dan Smead was our evening anchor and news director from 1978 to 1991.
That was light years ago. And when I first got here, we were developing film late in the afternoon. And while reporters were writing their story, we were developing the film. So our deadlines were a lot sooner than they are today.
He saw a lot of changes during his time at Channel 6.
Especially from film to tape to digital, helicopters, satellite, microwave. I mean, things were changing so rapidly.
Back then, newsrooms were filled with clattering typewriters, ringing telephones, and sometimes even cigarette smoke. Channel 6 debuted at a time of major national stories. Historian Joe Bell.
Whether we're talking about Watergate or the fuel embargo of the 1970s when people lined up for gas and the impact that that had on agriculture, but ag in the 70s was huge.
We were there in 1976 when Idaho Senator Frank Church ran for president.
It was a time when we thought, you know, okay, we're involved in national politics, but we stayed local on that story, even though that it was a national story.
And in 1981, when he lost re-election to Steve Sims, former reporter Liz Rodosevich remembers some of the year's other top local stories.
I mean, obviously, we had the Chalice earthquake, the Claude Dallas trial, the North End rapist, which was a big story at the time.
Claude Dallas was a reclusive trapper who killed 2 Idaho State Fish and Game officers, then fled into the desert, prompting one of the largest manhunts in Idaho history.
We hired a helicopter to get to the scene. We probably spent more money than management really wanted us to spend, but we had to stay on top of it. Same thing with the Chalice earthquake.
2 children died when the earth underneath Idaho started shaking in 1983.
But it wasn't long before we knew that there was a lot of damage in Chalice.
Perhaps the biggest story, the amazing growth in our area.
And the community wasn't as big, it didn't have as many issues, there wasn't as much diversity.
Canyon County's population was 72,000 in 1974. And now we're over 190,000. 40 years ago at Caldwell, we still had a stoplight on the interstate. Last one, 2,200 miles.
And as technology, communication, and yes, even hairstyles changed, so did we. But then, as now, we took our commitment to local news very seriously.
You know, we worked our hardest to report on what was relevant and not just the events of the day, but interpreting the importance of those events for people.
Don Nelson, today's 6 on your side.
Well, we tried to fit some music to that. I think it was
70s groove.
Yeah, a little disco.
But that's the truth, still today. I mean, relevant or not, it's what you need to hear and see, and us trying to interpret that and give it to you.
Yeah, it's fun to watch that old video. Huh?
I bet.
Or film, whatever it was.